Hey there everyone, Jason here with another review. Today I'm going to be talking about episode 4 of Andor, the new Disney Plus Star Wars series. If you haven't watched this week's episode of Andor, head on over to Disney Plus because I'm going to talk some spoilers. And if you've already seen it, or spoilers don't matter, I've already given you the spoiler warning, so I'm going to dive right in. What I'm going to say off the bat is, even though there isn't much action in this week's episode, and with the exception of a couple ship chase, a ship chase and maybe a TIE fighter scare, there really isn't any action in this week's episode. What I really enjoyed about it was the fact that it took its time to give us more background on some of the other characters and introduce us to some of the newer players that we're going to be getting involved with moving forward. Characters like ISB Lieutenant Miro, and then, of course, as we know, Senator Mon Mothma, who is a huge part of the formation of the rebellion. I think Stellan Skarsgård's character, Luthen, is an interesting character. We learned a little bit more about him this week, that he's a antiquities dealer on Coruscant as a front, and that's kind of how he stays in communication with a lot of these rebel leaders, such as Mon Mothma. What I also think is interesting about his shop is if you pay close attention to several details in the background of many shots of that, you'll find quite a few Easter eggs. I found 2. One was Starkiller's Sith helmet from the Force Unleashed DLC. The other was the Mandalorian Din Djarin's breastplate, or at least maybe not, definitely not his, because his wasn't made yet, but maybe somebody else's, and we can kind of see where the mold, that there was a mold that made up his armor. I thought that was really cool. Scenes like that are definitely good. People's private collections or antiquities dealers are nice places to hide Easter eggs in the Star Wars universe. So I thought that was really, really cool. Cassian is getting involved with this ragtag team of rebels who are trying to steal payroll from an imperial base just outside of an airfield. So they're definitely setting something up that's going to be huge. It's going to be big, and I really can't wait to see that. That's one thing I'm really liking about the setup of this series, is that it's taking its time. You're getting to know the characters. You're getting to know the situations. Heck, even that moment with Karn, those couple moments with Karn dealing with the aftermath of what he had done in the previous 3 episodes, really helps you get inside his head, especially that moment when he goes home and meets his mother, and she slaps him and then brings him in for a hug. I thought that was a nice touch, because it gets you into his head a little bit more. And this character, Lieutenant Miro, she's pretty interesting. I kind of feel sorry for her, because as Cassian had mentioned in episode 3, that they're so proud of themselves. The imperial leaders are proud of themselves. They're so fat and satisfied, they don't think that anything could happen, But there are those within the Empire who see every small step, every small theft, damage of property, whatever it is, as a sign, as a spark of rebellion that needs to be snuffed out. And as I said in a previous video, it's interesting that this series actually takes place at the same time that Rebels does. So we're kind of starting to see some of the parallels there, because Agent Callus was a member of the ISB, and he kind of held a lot of the same beliefs that Lieutenant Miro does, except for the fact that because there's already signs, at this point there have been multiple signs and situations that have been kicked up by this group of rebels, the Ghost Crew. The Empire took something like that more seriously. However, because Miro is just looking at these little, as what the Empire thinks of it as isolated incidents. Oh, it's just small petty theft. It's just crime. It's just whatever. It's just things that we have to deal with as the Empire. We're just trying to cure a sickness. It's, there's no big, but what she sees is the seeds, as the sergeant said in the last episode, in a couple episodes, or was it last episode or a couple episodes ago? It's fomenting, pockets of fomenting. That's what's dangerous. That's what's a danger to the Empire, is that these small, tiny pockets that may appear in the short term to be these isolated incidents are actually, when you put them together, when you connect the dots, you realize there's a much larger, more organized, more coordinated rebellion happening out there. And we're going to get to see more of that, just like we got to see in Rebels. And I will probably talk more about Rebels in another video, just because since Andor is going to be drawing... I can already see that Andor is going to be drawing some parallels to the series. It'd be nice to actually talk about that series in depth. So look out for that video when I inevitably make it. But all in all, I thought this episode was really, really good. Getting inside the head of Mon Mothma was interesting, just because we've seen her in Rogue One. We saw her a little bit in Revenge of the Sith, and much of her story was played out in Rebels. We saw, what happened there. But this series, we kind of see the beginnings of that. Well, at least we kind of see where it goes to the point that we meet her in Rebels. And it's kind of interesting to see, because she's definitely making some waves. She's turning some heads, and the thing is, it's causing some problems, because the more problems you cause, the more dirt you kick up, the more people pay attention, and the wrong people pay attention. And that's kind of what she's experiencing. As she said, there are more people spying. There are more spies in the Senate. The tellers are different at the bank. Her driver is new, and everybody's kind of watching her and spying on her and making sure she's not stepping out of line, because that's what she's kind of sort of at this point doing behind the scenes. So it'll be interesting to see her arc play out as well. And that's what I really like about this episode, is that it takes its time to kind of set up more of the players, set up where we're going, and then next week we're most likely going to get the action very similarly to how we did in episode 3. So all in all, I'm going to give this week's episode of Andor a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was really good. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell to get updates on all my future videos. Follow me on Twitter at callmejsumner. That's J with a J-A-Y. And you could talk to me about movies, Star Wars, anything, anytime. I'm always happy to chat. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Bye.